In this video, we're going to discuss about resting information, that is routing information protocol version 2. So this is the given circuit diagram. So here we have two different networks are being connected with the system, switch, and the router. So we are consider this as one network and this as the other network. Now we are trying to transfer data from one network to the other network, right? Using the concept of the version 2. So we have studied that assigning an IP address, dividing a large network into a smaller networks, and finding what is that gateway. So all this concept is going to be get implemented in this experiment. So first, we are going to assign the IP address for every individual end user systems. So for this system, I consider as a simple example as 1.1.1.1. So this system number with 1.2, and for this router also given the IP address as 1.3. And since this entire network is comes in the classification like 1.1.1, so I'll assume this entire this router, the switch, and these two systems network addresses 1.1.1.0. I'll repeat. This system is number 3 but 1. This is 2. This is 3, and this is my network address. In the same way, to the other side of the network, I assume the value as a 2. That is 2.2.2.0 is the network address. So this is the system number is something about 2.1. This is 2.2, and this is 2.3. Now we need to connect the two different networks using our serial port connections, right? So the connections which is from this router 0 to router 1, I'm going to consider my IP address as 3.3.3.1, and from this router 1 to router 0 assumed as 3.3.3.2, and this respective network address is 3.3.3.0. So how many network address we have? This 1.0, this 2.0, and 3.0. We have the numbers. Now we are going to frame a connection for these two. So this is the sample diagram. Let me start with the new connections here. So I'll go for a new connection. So let me take the router, generic router. Two routers I'm taking. So router PT, that is router 0 and router 1. Next, let me take the switch generic, that is switch PT, not this one. Yes, so PT we have taken. Now the end devices. So two system for one network. So in total we have like four different systems, right? So now we're going to have a connection between all the devices. So PC to switch, again from second PC to switch, from switch to a router. In the same way, PC to switch, PC to switch, and then switch to router. Now these two different networks have been connected between the two routers. Now this is a network. Now we need to give a name for every individuals. So now let me first assign the network address for this network as, for example, I'll take 220 100 dot 100 dot 100 dot 0. So this is the network address of this side network. So since this is my network address, I'll give this number as 1. So 100 dot 100 dot 100 dot 1. Copy this. For second system, dot 2. And for this router, dot 3. So now this side, I'll take it as 200 dot 200 dot 200 dot 0 as a network address. So for this PC, I'll take it as 1. And for second PC, I'll take it as 2. And for this router, I'm going to consider as 3. Okay, I given a name for everything. In the same way, if I have a connections from this router 0 to router 1, so for this I need to give another. So for this I'll design as 300.300. Sorry, we have the number only up to, so I'm going to take it. So 150.150.150.0 0. Okay, this is network address, and this side I'll take it as a 1, and from router this side I'll take it as a 0, 2. So now we assigned all the numbers. Now we have to incorporate this in our system configurations. Okay. Okay. So configuration, sorry, desktop IP. What are the numbers we have given? And for this system number is nothing but 100.100.100.1 separate mask. And through this router only, we are going to make a connections. Right? Through this router only, we are going to make a connections. And what's this router IP address? Nothing but 103. So that is my default gateway address. So I'll just copy this. Through this router, so the router IP address is nothing but 3. That's all. In the same way, for this PC, desktop IP, and this system is nothing but 100 default mask. This system is nothing but 2 default mask, and IP address of router is nothing but 100.3. Okay, now assign this number. Similarly, for this side system, we have to assign desktop. What is the system number? 200, right? So 200.200.200.1 default, and separate router is something about 3. You can see here something about this router IP is something about 3. Okay. Similarly, for this one, desktop IP, this is something about 2 default address, and this is a 3. So we have assigned everything to this 4 different system now. Now we need to do some process for this router. Okay. So for this, go to configuration. So what are the lines are there? We have fast Ethernet as well as the serial port we have. So for these two things we have to assign. So let's start with the fast Ethernets. So for fast Ethernet only, we are going to assign an IP address of this router. So this router 0 IP address something but 100.3. So 100.100.100.3 and the default mask address, and turn on the switch. Now similarly for the serial port of this one, you can check that it is becoming green in color. This serial port number is 2, and this IP address is nothing but 150.1. So 150.150.150.1 mask, and turn on this link also. So this side it is over. By same way in the router 1 also. So fast Ethernet is nothing but this side. What is this IP address? 200.3, 200.200.200.3 IP mask address, turn on. And so for the serial, it's nothing but this address I have to give. Okay, that is 150.150.150.2 mask, turn on. Right. Now see, now everything is almost turned on now. Okay, now we need to do the versions, right? So first I'm choosing this router, go to CLI, just press enter, and it is inside the config. So we need to come to the router side. So just press exits, have one more exits. So now we start with the router. So now we start with en, it's nothing but enable. Next is config T is the configuration terminal, right? Yes. So now we got it into this. So now I'm going to say that this is router RIP, and then we are going to use for the version of 2. So version 2, right? So now I need to specify what are the addresses are being connected between these two networks. So here this network address is the number 100.0, and here I have as a 150.0s. So these two networks I have to specify to my router to make a connection. So network 100.100.100.0, right? Similarly, capture is something about 150, right? Just changing this to 150. I'm saying that. So with this router, we have like 100.0 connections as plus this one. Right. Now let me exit this. Two exits. Yes. In the same way, this and also we are going to do this configuration. The CLI, enter, exits, exits. Now start with enable, configuration terminal, config T, and then router, rip experiments. And what is the version that we are going to do is version 2. And what are the networks that I'm going to connect? There's a spelling mistake will become a problem. So network. So what are the networks this side we have? This is 200.0, again 150.0s. So 200.200.200.0. Next is I have 150.150.150.0. So exits. We define all the paths. That's it. Now we created all the connections now. Now we are going to have the packet transfer. So before transferring a packet, we have to check step-by-step process. So first I have to check this side whether all the lines have been connected with all the IP address, and this side. Then I'm going to have a file transfer between these two different networks. I'll take a package, I'm placing at the system and the router. See the bottom, you can see successful. So the connections, everything between the PC and the router is all perfect. Now same way, I'm going to try to have the data transfer between the two routers. Yeah, and this is also successful. You can see that the data transfer between the router 0 and router 1 is successful. Now I'm going to have the connection between the router and this PC. This is failed. So let me try one more time. So I need to check whether I have given all the things is perfect. And I need to find what is the error I made. So let me go and verify one more time. So 200, 200.3, yes, this is right. 200 and 200.2 and 3 is right. And in this configuration, I need to check one more time. What are this FA is given? FA, yeah, this is 2/0 only. So for that, I've given this IP address, mask, and I've turned on. And if I take the CLA, config tech router rip version 2 network of this 200 and 150 are being connected. I think we can also say about the network of the other friends also. So let me try one more address. I'll just restart again. Enable config config space T. Okay, and then now I have to start with the router RAP, and then version 2. I'll start with my network. What are the networks I have? Like 200, 200, 200.0 I have. Network 150 dot 150 dot 150.0 I have. other side also I'm defining. Oh, sorry. Network dot 100 dot 100 dot 100 dot 0. Right. Now exiting. Okay. Now let me try the connection between these two. Yes, now it is successful. Okay, so I'm just defining the network address of other side also, right? So let me have the file transfer between the two end system of two different networks. Now it is successful. So I transfer the data from PC0 to PC3 through the switch router R0, and from one router it is being transferred to the next network of router 1, and from that router it is going to the switch and then to the corresponding system PC3. So this is the experiment about RIP version